All right, so there was no training camp today, right? The New York Jets will officially play the Atlanta Falcons tomorrow night. So it bars the question. Do the New York Jets play any of their starters? Well, it seems to be an ongoing thing right now across all of Jets Twitter, Jets fanatics, etc. So I figured, why not? Let's talk about it. Okay, so just like many of us have been discussing, talking about should we or should we not play the starters and some of the veterans tomorrow night in this game, right? We know that Coach Sala right now is kind of concerned about it. He's not too sure. He probably woke up this morning and decided he was going to do something completely different from when he went to bed last night, right? Because he's been on and off about what to do when it comes to playing everybody tomorrow. So here's my take on it, right? In all actuality, I think I'm going to be team rest the vets. I think I'm team rest the vets because we're talking about the majority of those veterans. We already know are starters. They know the scheme. They've played in this scheme before. Now, if we're talking about the guys who haven't played in this particular scheme before and we might have some concerns about it, fine, give them some game time. But right now, we're talking about having to crack down to that final roster. And if we're able to go ahead and get some of these guys, these rookies and these young guys, an opportunity to get in front of those big lights on Monday Night Football, to go ahead and see what it's like, right? In one of those real game time situations, win or lose, it's valuable reps that we're getting to give them the experience necessary when the games do start counting. Not to mention, it gives us more insight on who the Jets should keep, right? They could get these guys. This isn't training. This is going to be practice. This is going to be literally live, allows them more of an opportunity to properly evaluate whether or not those guys can make the roster. A lot of guys are currently on the roster bubble. I think in terms of guys like Carl Lawson, C.J. Mosley, George Fant, uh, believe it or not, I think we should even play Elijah Vera Tucker. I wouldn't play any of our starting offensive linemen if we could avoid it. Um, and I would give a lot of those guys on the defensive line trying to fight for a position an opportunity, right? So I'm conflicted about this game because I'm excited to see our guys get on the field and show us what they're about. But I'm also kind of like terrified about, kind of like any kind of injury. But then you go back and you got to ask yourself, like, is this kind of stuff where we're protecting these guys from contact, from the possibility of getting hurt? What's getting them hurt during the regular season? I was watching Greeny's video yesterday, and he alluded to this, and it makes a lot of sense because back in the day, individuals didn't get hurt as much, or at least it didn't seem like they got hurt as much as they do currently right now. Maybe it's because we're tracking it differently now. Some of those guys played fully injured. A lot of those guys played with torn, God knows what's. And then nowadays we can track it better. But nonetheless, it doesn't seem like, man, we had a lot of players tearing and getting season ending injuries back in the day when practices were 100% go, right? There was no, half practices, short practices. It was all about hitting. So that way they felt the contact, their bodies got used to the punishment so they can make it through a full regular season. I don't know. Maybe there's some truth to that as well. But for me, I just think that right now, knowing with the injury history of this roster, we've already lost Mekhi Becton for the year. We've had a couple of injuries here and there. Vinny Curry just recently got hurt. Got a couple guys getting eased back in. Quinton Williams had the ankle injury. Zach Wilson, I mean, he's out for the next 2 to 4 weeks, right? Like we've already seen the impact of playing these guys, what that could potentially do. Again, it's football. That's a thing, right? Injuries are a thing. But I guess what it boils down to, rather than me just keeping on ranting, if I had to make the decision, if I'm Coach Salah, I'm definitely playing the first time players in this system, in this scheme, so they get a good taste of what it looks like live, what it feels like to go 100% against another roster that doesn't know you as the player or whatever the case might be, to use their skill sets and go ahead and improve some of their technique, whatever the case might be. I would have those guys go live, and I would definitely have the young guys go live. Now, I'm not talking about making them play the whole game. I don't want to see Elijah Moore out there for an entire game. I don't want to see Garrett Wilson out there for an entire game. Corey Davis, none of that. But get those guys in for a couple of reps, maybe a couple of series, just to kind of get an idea on the feel for the timing. I do think it might benefit Joe Flacco to get out there and maybe get a series underneath his belt. Now, again, he's a veteran. He doesn't necessarily need it, but I kind of want to see him continue to do what he's been doing during joint practices, right? Just on the big stage. Now, one series for me is all I need. Protect Joe Flacco at all cost. Protect some of those heavy hitters, some of those starters at all cost. But if they're first time individuals in this game, and the young guys, they got to get out there. Get them out there, get them in front of the lights. Let's go ahead and get a lot of those jitters out of the way, that anxiety out of the way, and then yeah, so that way it's done. Come game day here in about 3 weeks, when we're in MetLife for the September 11th home opener. Those guys got some feel of what it feels like to go ahead and play live. So that's my take on it, man. What do I think they're gonna do? I do believe they're going to start the starters for at least one series. I think each starter's going to get at least one series, and then they're going to pull them. I don't believe they're going to go ahead and stay in the game for an entirety or for a whole quarter or nothing like that. One series, boom, they're pulled. Then you'll see the young guys kind of come out there, and then the individuals who don't have any experience in this scheme kind of get out there as well. But that's my take on it. I do see both sides. I understand the fear aspect of both sides. I just feel like it could be a win or a loss if we do either or, right? So we got to go ahead and properly calculate and see how it best benefits. But if I had it my way, I would definitely get just a little bit of touch, a little bit of time, especially with Joe Flacco out there with the starters. Pull them. But if they don't want to risk it, I'm 100% okay with that. We don't got to play any of our starters. Get the young guys out there and then first time individuals in this scheme. So that's my thought process on whether or not tomorrow night, Coach Salah or the Jets should play our vets. Um, yeah, what do you think? Do you think we should go ahead and play them, or should we bench them? Because I know right now a lot of us are terrified of the injury bug. So share in the comments what you think the Jets should do tomorrow night for the preseason game against the Falcons. We kind of saw that it was one heck of a beatdown that they put on them throughout the entire the joint practices. So this could be just an extension of that. Do we really need to see more of it? Or maybe it's a good thing for us to get some more of it so that way we get some more confidence in those guys, understanding that they are NFL caliber players that can go ahead and do damage to other rosters. I mean, you just gotta kind of weigh it out. So what do you think?
I'm torn on it. I'm still going. I wake up one day and I'm like, okay, they're going to play. The next day I wake up and they're not going to play. I think there's tremendous value in this one. I think this one's different because it is Monday Night Football, and we're such a young team that a lot of guys that's what you dream of, right? Is Monday Night Football, and you never want to make a game bigger than it needs to be. But there's still that human aspect in terms of how they grew up and how people view Monday night, and the fact that it's the only game on TV, all their peers are watching, and and the biggest thing for me is like it's a great opportunity to give our guys that opportunity to go through the mental aspect of a heightened environment and something that they dream of, so they can manage week one, you know. So yeah, I'm torn on that one.
What about Joe specifically? He doesn't need that
No,
stuff,
but
but
I put him in the same boat. You know, it's like um, he doesn't need it, but I feel like everyone could always use it just as a reminder of how to get yourself prepared and making sure that every game is just a normal game.
you said that Wally's missed last time. What do you think you'll do with him? Is that another one you're torn with? Or you think
I'm torn with him too. I'm torn with all of them. I am, because we got 2 really good days of work, and normally with these joint practices, you don't want to practice or play in the game because you feel like you've gotten a heavy workload. And I know we practiced last year, and then we still played, and it was like bloodshed this week. So so far so good as opposed to last year. But anyway.